Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to you in North America. My name is Lucia Malfend. I'm the head of the Open Innovation and Science Center of the Ludwig Boltzmann Gesellschaft, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you can hear me well. Before I start, I would like to introduce our team here in Vienna. This is Gertraud Leimüller. She's an external innovation consultant and an expert on open innovation in science. We have Anna Pilicheva.
Hello.
Anna is the Open Innovation Research Manager for the new Ludwig Boltzmann Institutes. Tim Dunn is also on the webinar, but not here with us. He works with No Innovation, and No Innovation's goal is accelerating scientific innovation. Tim and his team will be managing our Ideas Lab. And we have Jürgen Busch.
Hello.
Jürgen Busch is responsible for the process of setting up the two new LBI, and he is head of social sciences and humanities and health sciences at LBG. Goals, bitte. So first of all, we want to give you an overview of our proceedings today and what you can expect from this webinar. We have two goals. First, to understand open innovation and science and how it is applied within LBG. And second, to understand how our new institutes are being set up. To start, I will give you a brief overview of LBG and why LBG is doing open innovation in science. After this, Gertraud will present a few examples and best practice cases to illustrate the potential of open innovation. Anna will explain to you how we are setting up the two new digital health institutes and where we stand today. Then Tim will give you an initial insight into the Ideas Lab. After that, I will talk about our expectations of this kind of research and how we support and evaluate openness. After that, it's your turn to ask questions. I assume that altogether this will take us about 1 hour. And by the way, all the slides of the presentation will be available to you online. During the presentation, all participants are muted to reduce background noise to a minimum. So if you want to say something, please either indicate that you want to say something or write your question in the chat, or raise your hand and we will unmute you. How do you raise your hand? Depending on how it is displayed, you will see the raise hand sign on the right side of the Zoom screen in the participation list. If a screen is shared, you have to click on participants at the bottom of the page and then click on the raise hand sign. So now I think we've completed all the introductory formalities and can start our webinar. I just heard that some of you cannot hear me well. So we try to change to the microphone again, or
Yeah, we try to change back from the microphone, so probably it works now.
Does everybody hear me now? If you do not hear me, could you just send a comment?
No sound.
No
Some
sound.
can hear, some cannot hear. Loud and clear. I think it's better now, so
we'll go on, and if you cannot hear me, please just let us know. As always, a good place to start is at the beginning. Ludwig Boltzmann Gesellschaft, LBG for short, was established in 1960 as a private research institution. We currently operate 21 research units for research on medical, intellectual and cultural questions. LBG doesn't just work with academics, but with users. This practice-oriented approach makes our activities fundamentally different from traditional academic research. Since 2014, we have been considering whether science, as it currently works, can possibly be organized properly. It seems to us that research functions on somewhat medieval principles. First, a mighty castle is constructed, something that takes time and money, and only then does the real work start. We are convinced that the disciplines and structures of the 19th century are unsuited for tackling the challenges of the 21st. We at LBG intend to change the way research is conducted. Industry and commerce experienced a similar sea change long ago. It put the customer at the focus of how business thinks. Indeed, a core characteristic of companies that are top performers over the long term is their closeness to the customer. This too is a defining feature of open innovation in science. Users, patients, and other persons affected are targeted and actively brought into the process. We want to tap their knowledge, experiences, and perspectives, and include this in each and every phase of the research cycle. Open innovation in science means overcoming boundaries between disciplines and organizations, establishing international networks, and involving in research those previously excluded. Open innovation has to be applied throughout the research process, indeed in every single phase. In defining research questions, we turned the traditional approach on its head. It's not researchers who define the question on which they are to work. Instead, we consult a broad range of people to find out what they think is the burning issue. Through our approach, we seek to increase the relevance of our research. One example of this is our project CRIS. CRIS stands for Crowdsourcing Research Questions in Science. In our latest CRIS project, we asked clinicians, as well as patients, what questions about accidental injuries does research need to address? Now I'm happy to turn the floor over to Gertraud, who has prepared more examples of open innovation in science.
Lucia Malven just talked about users being the source for needs recognized by science. But they oftentimes are also the providers of new solutions. And I want to tell you the story of Tom Goldsworthy. He is, interestingly enough, a coal combustion engineer and himself suffered from a dilating aorta, and the underlying issue is a genetic disease in his family. And he had in front of him a big surgery, really a life-threatening surgery where the whole aortic root should have been changed. He then invented his own implant, which not only saved his life until now, and this was over 10 years ago, but also provided him with the opportunity to do a less risky surgery. And until now, this implant invented by the patient himself can be bought also from hospitals and is used across the world. So this is an excellent example for user innovation. User not only provides the needs as the base for innovation, oftentimes they also can provide solutions. But I want to go to the next slide and tell you also with the next case that this is not a very new phenomenon. We see user innovation for a long time, and we see open innovations phenomenons for a long time. And I think one of the best examples is the longitude case. And probably, you know, in shipping, it has been a huge problem to cross oceans because the longitude was unknown by the captains, by the ships, by the navigators. Several countries like Spain, like the Netherlands, or like the British Crown, over the centuries, awarded prizes for people who were able to determine at sea the longitude. Yeah, it was only possible for a lot of centuries to determine the latitude. And this caused huge problems. You know, a lot of ships and people were threatened, lost their lives, yeah, not only in wars, but also in civilian endeavors. The British Crown finally decided in the 18th century to offer a huge prize for a solution. And they hoped very much for the new science of astronomy. So they thought probably the astronomy would solve the problem of determining longitude and therefore making ships and crossing the oceans much more safe. But this didn't work out exactly as the hope had been. And we turn to the next slide. Interestingly enough, the problem solver was a self-educated carpenter and clockmaker. John Harrison developed over time a very precise sea watch, a predecessor of the nowadays also used marine chronometers. Yeah, and it was a huge fight for him to get the award finally, because he contested a lot of other people's, but he was the only one who was able to determine precisely enough the longitude at sea. So he was a self-educated craftsman and not a scientist. This is very interesting because we learn from that new knowledge, as we need it for science and innovation, is oftentimes coming from unusual sources, unusual people. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense to involve users, here in our case patients, and these unusual suspects into the research process. Because novel knowledge can be found outside the original domain, outside science often. Yeah, so this increases the possibility to create really something novel and not just copy the old solutions, the old ideas and technologies. And patients are extremely valuable because they have their innovations are oftentimes based on their needs, and therefore the risk to fail with an idea, with an innovation in the market, in the application, is much lower. So we build cross-disciplinary teams and involve externals from other domains in order to create more novel but also more useful ideas to solve problems in society. This is also the concept of analogous markets, where we look for other domains, topic domains with similar problems, where they might have already progressive solutions, and we transfer this knowledge into the original domain.
Okay. Yeah, it's Anna, and now it's my turn. But before I will start to describe the phases of our project, I would like to point out the main approach which forms the basis of the project. As you know, usually in traditional research projects, researchers themselves choose a research topic and then work on it. And in our project, the situation is exactly the opposite. And the needs of the society have been the starting point for the project. And that's why, first of all, we asked users of the system what are their needs and what are the crucial questions that should be answered by researchers. And this determines the uniqueness of the whole project. On this slide, you can see 4 phases of the project. And currently, together with you, we are on the phase 4. And before I will start to describe them in details, I would like to stress that open innovation in science concept is core concept of the whole project. And it's extremely important to keep it in mind because open innovation is science. This is the concept that also makes the project unique. So let's start with the stages of the project. The stage 1 or phase 1, and in this stage we identified unsolved needs of the users, and in order to achieve this purpose, we did data and literature review as well as interviews with experts in the field. And as a result of the phase 1, we identified 2 strategically important topics. The first topic is increasing the contribution of patients to diagnosis, treatment, and aftercare. And the second topic that was found was securing and enhancing the quality of health services and patient safety. On the phase 2, we formed a group of core institutional partners who expressed its interest in joining forces together with the LBG in performing the project. And as a result of this stage, University Hospital Salzburg as well as Medical University of Vienna have been chosen as strategical partners for the project. The second phase is phase number 3, and at this phase we organized an international workshop with lead users and experts in the field, including open innovation and science experts. As a result of this stage, together with our partners in Vienna and in Salzburg, we've concretized the research topics and formulated additional research questions for each topic. And in this slide, you can see 2 research topics that have been formulated. And together with this research topic, there are additional specific questions to every research topic that should be answered at the end of the project. The final stage is phase 4. And currently we are on the phase 4 together with you, and this phase takes place now. And during this phase, we are organizing the Ideas Lab, and as a result of this phase, we have to form the research teams for the project. Then Team Dan will tell you more about the Ideas Lab.
Tim?
Still muted? No, wait, I'm unmuted.
With us?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Now. Tim, can you hear us now? Or
I can hear you. Can you hear me now? Hang on.
This is Anna calling Tim.
Yes, I can hear you.
Tim, can you unmute your mic? Can somebody else hear Tim?
Yeah, everyone can hear Tim.
Oh, and only us, we cannot hear Tim.
Ah, so everyone can hear me except you.
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Tim Morley can hear me. So it appears that the only people who can't hear me are the people sitting in Vienna.
We can hear you now.
Oh no, we were going to tell gossipy things.
Yeah,
about
I thought you would tell all the secrets.
Yeah, I was going to tell the secrets. Can't tell the secrets. You'll have to find me at the event, and I can tell you all the secrets I know. And I do know some secrets because we're really we're really pleased to be working with Win Innovation and Ludwig Boltzmann again. And we're excited because it appears that we have some overlap in our missions, and I'm very happy that we were able to find each other and contribute to the good work that each of those entities are trying to do in the world. As Lucia said, our tagline is accelerating scientific innovation, and that's what my colleagues Tim Morley and Trish Chilton and I will try to do for you at the Sandpit event. So I want to tell you a little bit about what you can expect to have happen at the Sandpit, so that you can come in feeling a little more comfortable about how those 5 days will unfold. So first, a little bit about where the Sandpit Ideas Lab came from, and it came from a research funding agency in the UK called the EPSRC, the Engineering and Physical Science Research Council. And in order to get research projects that required disciplines to collaborate with each other, so physicists and economists needed to work together, and they felt when they put out the normal solicitation process, they really weren't getting projects that were collaborative. So we helped them come up with a process for inviting people rather than projects. And that has grown in the last 14 years to a technique that's been used in the UK, in the US, and also now in Austria. So we're excited to do our third or fourth Sandpit in Austria. So if you look at the slide that's on the screen, it talks about really the objectives that we have for each of the days. And I'll talk about them as if they're linear. Obviously, they blend into each other, but they are sort of in chronological priority. So the first thing we like to have happen is we want everyone in the room who's a participant at the event to meet everyone else in the room and understand what expertise they bring to the table. And then through activities that are promoting dialogue, understand the knowledge base that people bring, why they're there, what assumptions they bring, and what are the gaps in their learning. And while you're identifying other people's gaps, some perspectives that you don't have will hopefully be joyfully exposed to you. And it's through that mashup of understanding other people's perspective and seeing perspectives that you haven't seen before that new ideas and new perspectives get born. And then about the middle of the event, it's about aligning around some of those new perspectives or new opportunities and building them into research themes and projects. And the last 2 days of the event are really about refining that thinking. So everybody at the event, the facilitation team from No Innovation, the organizing funding team from Ludwig Boltzmann, and all of the mentors who are there in support of your thinking. Our goal as a community of people who are creating this cauldron is really to instigate and support the thinking of the participants, which, if you think of it that way, is kind of a nice luxury. And we hope you feel that way at the end of the event. So let me just dive in a little more with these last 2 minutes to give you a sense of how things will unfold. And it's easier to start from the end. So we start on a Sunday night and we end on a Friday, if my memory serves me. Friday at 1 o'clock, groups will make their final presentations of these are the research themes that the research theme that we want to put forth for the creation of the institutes. And by the end of the day on Friday, you'll know whether your theme has been selected. And obviously there's work that you have to do after that, but you walk away from the event with a high degree of certainty that your research theme has been selected. prior to that, on Thursday and Wednesday, the groups will be making presentations and getting feedback from the whole community and from the mentor team. So on Thursday, there's a presentation that's made by groups with feedback, and on Wednesday as well. And Wednesday, just before lunchtime, is kind of a big event in the 5 days, because it's when all the participants at the event first put a stake in the ground around, this is the theme I want to work on, and I think these are the people I want to work with. And there's still movement that happens between Wednesday and Friday, but everything up until Wednesday is designed to provide you with choices for interesting things that you've uncovered, and to amortize the gravity of that moment when you have to put your stake in the ground. So from Wednesday to Friday, it's really iterative feedback, presentation, get feedback, go back to work, and then make another presentation. Up until that point, on day one, lots of activities to meet the people in the room and to talk about the scientific reason that you're there. We'll have some outside speakers who'll come in on the end of day one and on day two, who will hopefully stimulate your thinking, and we'll use those presentations to generate more conversations and introduce you to even more perspectives from your colleagues in the room. The end of Tuesday and early on Wednesday, you'll start creating straw man options for, here's a theme that a small community will present to the full group, and we'll do that iteratively a couple of times. So Tuesday and Wednesday will be Wednesday morning, you as a group will be starting to generate potential themes and putting it out to the community. And hopefully by Wednesday, when you put your stake in the ground and say, this is the thing I want to work on, you're choosing from a menu of options that have been created by the community. So that's the agenda from Friday to Wednesday, and then from Wednesday to Friday. And if you put those two halves together, that's our week. Was that 5 minutes, Lucia?
That was perfect. Thank you very much, Tim. So let me summarize. Open innovation in science refers to applying open innovation principles and methods for the purpose of improving scientific research in terms of originality, efficiency, and impact. So what are the problems open innovation in science can solve? And in what situation would you use open innovation in science? The more complex the problem is, and the less we know where knowledge is to be found, the more useful is open innovation in science. And I would emphasize, it's precisely these questions you as researchers have to ask yourselves. What do I want to achieve through my innovation? What problem do I want to solve? And to what questions am I seeking answers? Our aim is to bring patients, innovators, and scientists together. From our experience, we know that to accomplish this, the right organizational environment and a culture of openness are a must. By applying to be a part of the Ideas Lab, you have declared that this is your goal too. The new Ludwig Boltzmann Institutes are autonomous, innovative research units. This is something very different than a funding program. Our intention is not to support and fund what already exists. We want to launch something new. To do this, the concept of open innovation in science has to be embedded in the research program of each institute. To support this, we will provide the teams with education and hands-on training. We at the Open Innovation in Science Centre will also provide ongoing support, and you are most welcome to contact us anytime. Anna will be the Open Innovation in Science Research Manager and part of the executive team of the new institutes. She's an expert in open innovation and will act as the interface with the LBG head office. In addition, one of the members of your future advisory board will be an open innovation in science expert, or more specifically, an expert on public and patient involvement in research. So this is it from our side, and thank you for your attention. Now we will be pleased to take any questions you may have. Shall we put on the camera?
There we have one. Unmute. Siedwart, you can. I think you can speak now. I think we should be able to hear you.
All right. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Great to hear you all. Just a quick question. Is it the expectation from on your side that we already start jotting down kind of how should I put it, possible solutions? Because I'm facing a problem, and that is that whatever solution I come across, or imagine, it is already there, if you know what I'm saying. So I do, obviously I do fully understand and appreciate the entire idea of OIS. And partially already your presentation has answered my question, but still I'm wondering, because I have been going through a lot of literature, and I'm trying to get something new. And when I do, come up with something new, and I just, try to search whether it is there already, it is there already. So what is the actual expectation on the first day? I know the agenda is there.
So may I clarify, your problem is that you don't believe that there is a good solution?
Or
No.
Completely new one. So I think the first part of your question is that most of the innovations you come up with, you find they do already exist. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's one part. Yeah, that's true.
And the second part, I missed it.
Okay. The second part is basically just trying to understand, like Tim was saying, that the first day is about understanding each other. And obviously the best thing that I have noted down from Tim's talk is that being open to each other and trying to understand each other's expertise, and also finding the areas where we lack.
Yes.
So how do you think it's going to work out? I mean, generally speaking, from a sociological, perspective, people tend to, keep quite conservative in their first meetings.
Okay, so I guess that Gertrud answers the first part. And Tim, are you there?
I am here.
Can you answer the second part of the question?
Sure.
Okay, so Gertrud.
So if I understood right, the first part of the question is that whenever you come up with an idea for a solution, you find similar solutions already existing out there. And,
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So therefore, we work very problem-based, so that we look what are unsolved problems in society, which need more research, more innovation in order to get solved. Yeah.
Sure.
We turn the coin a little bit around, and I'm not so focused at the beginning on how might the solution look like, but more on what is the real problem. And we see a shift of paradigm in the whole innovation science, that asking the right question at the beginning is so crucial. And it's also the base here in the process. Yeah. So I think probably we shift a little bit your thinking, if I may say. We expect to do that.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, Tim, please.
So I love what you said about you're already starting the process of saying what would be a novel research platform or research theme, and that everything you come up with, it feels like it's already been done. That's a beautiful thing, because you're building your background awareness. And if you could come up with lots of novel things, well, we wouldn't need this event, right? So
yeah, that's right.
And I love what Gertrude said about focusing on the question. So what we'll ask you to do, and we'll design activities and figure out ways for you to meet really interesting people who are in the room with you, is don't worry about the theme, especially on the first day, right?
Yeah.
You're focused on trying to come up with an idea, what's the right theme on day one. Just relax into the event and do the activities that we ask you to do as completely as possible, and some novelty will come. It might take until day 2, it might not happen until day 3, but it will get there, because there are 29 other people who are doing exactly what you're doing, which is
true.
Why are you here, and how do you think about this challenge? And through that process, you get to just relax into the science for the first 2 days. Things will come, novelty will appear, and we'll be focusing you more on questions. And it's lovely when a new question appears that hasn't been asked before, because those are great jumping off points. And sometimes it's a really important question and it's already been asked, but somehow a new angle on how to answer it gets unearthed in the first couple of days. And so we'll be trying to capture every time that happens, new question or a new way to answer a question that we've had trouble answering in the past. And so we'll grab those, and then you'll go back to those and try to explore them a little further. So I love what you're saying, and one of our taglines is trust the process. So just worry about the next 30 minutes or the next 2 minutes when you're at the event, and if you do that, and maybe even just the right now at the event, then look up on the 3rd day and you go, oh, okay, there are some things that I hadn't thought of before. Whew, what a relief.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. That makes things quite clear, and obviously it boosts up your motivation as well. So yeah, great to hear your answer, and I'm quite clear now. Had some ambiguity, but it's quite clear. Thank you so much
for your question. Do we have more questions?
We have Lisbeth asking for something. 1 second.
Lisbeth, you will be unmuted. Lisbeth, you will be unmuted.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well.
Oh, perfect. So what I'm understanding is basically you have a general question, right? The big question, and we need to generate a specific questions. Because, for example, in research question number 2, it's too big, the answer. The problem is broad, and there are several specific fields in health that we can approach.
Thank you for your question. Jürgen will answer your question.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for your question. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. So we have on the table the overarching research theme, and it's exactly up to you by the means and the tools and the processes that operate during the Ideas Lab to come up with something concrete. And at the beginning of the Ideas Lab, we will also meet the host directors, so the 2 professors at the host institutions that will also form part of the executive team of the Future Institute, and they will introduce you to the research environment you will find at the host institutions and the ecosystem of the partner consortium. This is leading in a particular direction then already. And what you find in the call is definitions of the themes and as indicative research questions are meant to guide you. So those are potential questions that could and should be addressed. Obviously not all of them. We offer a lot of money and we have 7 years time then to carry out the research work. But it's absolutely up to you to pin it down to what you and the research group that will be formed during the Ideas Lab think crucial and where you can offer expertise, and you are interested together with the host team of the future institutes to research on.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you, Lisbeth. Do we have any other questions?
No, so far not. Is there any other questions? So please raise your hand or indicate it in the chat.
There are no silly questions. Ask everything you want to know.
Ah, there we have some. DP Neil or.
Yeah, hi, it's David.
Sorry.
Why it comes up as DP now. Thanks very much for the talk from all of you. It's very clear and adds a lot of information to what we've already received, so it's very helpful. As far as I'm sort of taking from this, the goal of the Ideas Lab is to come up with a new approach or a new way of thinking about these important problems, to sort of ask important questions in new ways or new formulations of important questions. Then I guess the work over the sort of 7 years of the Institute is to sort of start asking those questions. One of the things that I wanted to get a feel for is technology is sort of the application of a science. And do you think the goal of the sort of the Institute over the preceding sort of period leans more towards sort of more academic, strictly scientific sort of inquiring approach, so novel approach to inquiry, or does it lean more towards the application of that sort of novel science, or perhaps the answers that come to those novel questions as a technology? I just wonder which way it leans within that.
It can lead, ideally both, I would say.
Yeah.
So what we're certainly looking for is like answers to questions, how to deal with new challenges posed by the use of new technologies in the topics we have defined or predefined. But it might well be, and that again very much depends on the composition that is found and on the group that is finally, or the two groups that are finally selected out of the Ideas Lab. We are very open, of course, and that's enshrined in Open Innovation in Science approaches, that the one or the other PI or team members come up with an idea of a spin-off of the couple of years of the research institutes. But neither the one or the other shall be the main focus. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is well-based, I think probably you know about the novelty bias, the bias against novelty. Currently we see oftentimes in a lot of scientific disciplines that you have to work in mainstream areas in order to get published, that there are no incentives in order to cross boundaries into other disciplines. So I like very much what Lucia said at the beginning. So implementing open innovation in science is about originality, creating more originality, more novelty, but also efficiency, because a lot of things are not brought together and therefore are never work out into being innovations, really creating impact, and this is the third part, in society. Yeah. So I think you really see a lot of shortcomings of how science is currently done, and therefore revamp the whole process.
Yes.
And you will come up with short concepts at the end of the week, and then for the selected PI teams and co-investigators, we'll work together with the partner institutions and the host to define yourselves the detailed objectives for the end of the 7 years.
Great. That's very clear and very reassuring. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question
is from BS407.
Yeah, hi, Barbara is here. Thank you very much for a very clear presentation. I just wanted to clarify what exactly is the difference between open innovation in science and concepts such as patient-public involvement, James Lynn Alliance, or co-production?
Well, this is quite easily answered. Open innovation in science is the term we use, and it includes, sorry, excuse me, it includes the involvement and engagement of public and patients. It includes such methods as co-creation. So it's like the term Ludwig Boltzmann Gesellschaft does use for the things we are doing.
Okay, so it's like an umbrella term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Then we have Sidwat again.
Yes, sorry. I've just got a comment, quick comment. I won't take much time. Very interesting and, intriguing question indeed from, I think David was before BS something. So I'm just trying to give a comment on that. I think the question is quite much valid, but my understanding is that technology and health, they are here to stay. And I think it's what my understanding is that the whole idea of this open innovation science is to somehow find the first step towards the solution, the actual solution, irrelevant to whether it is leaning towards the academic side or the technological side. It's all about solving the problems.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just, giving a comment. And I think, like Tim has put it beautifully, I now realize that, it's the way that we interpret questions. I mean, a question that I might ask sounds silly to some people, but it might as well, make some people think. I think that is the starting point of novelty itself. And the other comment is about BS 204, 217, I don't know, 407, sorry. I also think that OIS is about value co-creation, which is primarily based on your patients as a consumer of your product or service, whatever you may like to call it. So that's my 2 cents for the time.
Thank you very much. Jürgen wants to add something.
Yeah, general remark. All the Ludwig Boltzmann Research Institutes are translational. So it's kind of strategic general objective we follow by the research institutes we run, that there is a kind of combination between basic research and application. So this bridge should play a role and should somehow be reflected in the research concepts you come up with at the end of the week.
For instance, in the past, groups had then finally, in a very final version of their consortium, also a hospital in the group or a patient organization also. So institutions who might be able also to implement afterwards some of the developed solutions.
Exactly. I mean, the hosts are 2 university hospitals, so that already indicates that there shall be this clear link between basic research and direct access to application for the users in the environment.
There's the literal test beds.
So for the moment, we do not see any further questions. Are there any more questions? No? So then first of all, because I didn't introduce you, I would like to thank Julia Schober from Winnovation, who is our technical support here and who supported this webinar very well. Is there one more question?
Yes, there's one more question.
There's one more question.
It's from Tino. 1 second, I will unmute you. Let me see. Tino, here.
Tino, your question, please.
Hello, hello everyone. Thank you very much for a fantastic presentation. I'm really excited about the next week now. I just wanted to ask, with respect to the research topics and questions, whether there's an expectation that these should be particularly relevant to Austria and the Austrian context, or whether they should have global appeal and global relevance. Thank you.
Very good question. I'll hand it to you.
Ideally, the one enshrines the other, I would say. Yeah? Ideally, what is relevant for Austria is connected to the international debate. What has to be taken into account, of course, is the research environment as provided by the hosting consortia together with us, Boltzmann Gesellschaft, and there will be room in the Ideas Lab to discuss this. As I've said before, the 2 host institutions host directors for the future institutes will, at the very beginning of the Ideas Lab, give you an overview of what type of research environment is to be found when it comes to the two hosting consorts. Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
But we exactly, I mean, why we are doing this and not just letting the hosts hiring staff, yeah, is to exactly bring in this complementary global perspective by people who have not been raised in the Austrian system. So we're looking for an ideal mix and combination and complementary expertise that we hope to find during the Ideas Lab.
So thank you very much for joining this webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time. We highly appreciate this, and also thank you very much for your questions. We are all very much looking forward to meeting you on Sunday afternoon in Mauerbach, close to Vienna. And the exact time we will start at...
Yeah, the official opening of the Ideas Lab will be on Sunday at 5 p.m. And from 4 p.m. onwards, you will have the opportunity to register.
Get together.
Yeah, you individually arrive to the hotel. If you arrive early enough, make use of the nice wellness and relax before a very intensive week.
Or do a walk in the snow. Right now we don't have snow.
And then from 4 p.m. onwards, you will be able to register, and we expect you at 5 p.m. sharp to be there for the official opening at the start of the program. And the whole Ideas Lab lasts until Friday, approximately the same time. Official end is scheduled for 4 p.m. for those two groups that will finally be selected, maybe an hour more for clarifying the next steps.
If you do have any questions or need any assistance, please do not hesitate and contact us. And for now, thank you very much and have a pleasant day or afternoon or even evening. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.